story that you find yourself an initial pick. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You have to find those first bloods. The biggest thing I'm keeping my eyes on specifically is going to be Madeline on the Astra. I love seeing controllers kind of switch things up because the Astra provides just as much, if not more, than an Omen, quite frankly. Omens, obviously, you have those kind of shadow steps, you have the from the shadows, but I mean, even then, keep in mind, those are very kind of circumstance, situational things. Meanwhile, those Astras, those gravity pulls, cause it divides. Everything can be pulled out a lot more often, a lot more common because they're a lot easier to get off, and even then, you can see their impact just kind of transcend the game a lot more easily. You don't really have to understand what's going on to say, you know what, is this the right circumstance? Is this the right moment? Can I find some impact here? Will my teammates feel it? With a very, very big wall that separates the entire map, it's very obvious not only physically what's in front of you, but better yet, the impact just really starts carrying its own weight in gold. Speaking of impact, though, we're already noticing a very, very large push up towards spawn, and well, you can see that MMHS is kind of biting the dust because of it.
Yeah, Miramesa High School is a very confident team, to be fair. They've got two rosters that managed to go 66% of their wins, 4-2 when it came to the qualifiers here for July for the Youth Winter Circle. Lavender side, which is the roster we're seeing here, and their blue roster as well, they probably feel that confidence is very justified, especially when facing off against FLVS, who were seeded 6th. If we're following the precedent that was set earlier today with Iolani taking on as the 4th seed, taking on the 5th seed of HHS Patriots, they'd kind of expect this to be a victory that they could kind of walk ahead with and try to find that level of confidence. Unfortunately, the defensive strength they try to work with right off the rip here in this round has fallen a little bit flat. 2 players down inside A lobby. It's a little bit rough. They push straight through A main and through arches, take control of site, and now they're forced to go for the retake into the objective. Comey will go ahead and drop in as fast as humanly possible. Chamber in hand with the headhunter. Unfortunately, it only hits the torso of Madeline, who will find themselves the kill in the end. Raptors player for iCup. There's Rex as well on the board. It's now just a 2v2 for the retake. Very manageable for Miramesa High School. FLVS are struggling, but Slicks and Meadow have perfect angles to work from, and it will net them a positive attacking round to start this game off 1-0.
Yeah, most likely could have been, but all things considered, you got to think about that time that's going off as well in the background. You hear that ticking going off, and you're not really quite sure whether you have to go ahead and split that spike, or you have to go ahead and just take the fights and try to go ahead and diminish these numbers as much as possible. And you're just not given that luxury to even have that opportunity or time of day to kind of make those decisions. You need to hold that 4 button, and it essentially turns an entire thing into 1v2. So, oddly enough, unfortunate there for the defense once again. If we can't really go ahead and call it PTSD from that last series just yet, even though we do see the attacking side starting off with the advantage, but it's still very early on. You still have plenty of opportunities to really start kind of flexing yourself out a little bit. Maybe you just understand that, well, that A main push wasn't the best idea in the world, didn't really work out perfectly for us. We thought to catch them off guard, but if anything, they just were absolutely prepared for it, even then just kind of sitting around these corners, just as they do right now for another.
His 2 precedents were set at the end of map 1 or game 1 of today, whether that was the attacking side dominating in the first half, taking what was it, a 9-3 split, or if it's the team that's higher seeded goes ahead and takes the victory in a very dominant way. It's impossible to have both here to start off in the first half, as it is Miramesa High School being higher seeded but starting off on the defense. If they have a good defensive performance and they keep FLVS at bay and then dominate when they switch at halftime, we could say it kind of stick to the standard true. But we've seen it. Higher ranked teams, the higher you go, Dallas, they tended to struggle on defense. Maybe we see that happen here as well. This round, not a great indicator of it. It is just a thrifty for them. It was the bonus for FLVS. They will take that one very easily, but 2 SMGs were dropped, making the round at least somewhat costly for their side, getting a couple extra credits to the pockets here of Miramesa High School, which is going to be heavily utilized to get a proper rifles in their hands, though Kobe will likely still be stuck with a headhunter. But it means an Odin for Peach. My goodness, lock down that B side. You do not have a KJ to work with. You went for the chamber instead. You're gonna have to pray that that Odin wallbang is gonna actually do due diligence to stop them pushing in through Octopus, which is exactly where FLVS is currently looking to go through.
You see it every single time we go into here to the map of the center, at least most of the times, and even then, it's kind of expected. It works way too many wonders. It gets way too much damage just for free off the rip in terms of every single round. It's a lot of value that you just really can't go ahead and actually measure at the end of the day. You're just happy to have it regardless, and it really makes the rest of these rounds that much easier, considering that you can just get a little bit of a spray down like you see right there from actual Spectre. And even then the damage wasn't done. You still have that pressure there being just excruciatingly painful, pushing right towards your spawn as soon as those gates close. So already you see it right there, a 4v4 situation. The guns, even though being on the side of defense, you see the attackers having to go ahead and at least get that first off and having a Vandal to work with in the meantime.
Proper work coming out here from FLVS. Early engagement, net negative loss, kind of break even at the bare minimum, but when you're on the attack, you need as many men as you can get to move in towards that site. The second you extend onto the objective, Comey up in rafters. Headhunter in hand, the only player with a proper bot weapon in this round, is able to get a freebie off the rip on the execution to the A side. FLVS now forced into a post-plant position at a man disadvantage. Tasmanian Tiger comboed with a guiding light, puts Peach for the wall bang down below into hell, but two more clap back from FLVS, both over towards tree and garden. Rotate coming through glass. It's a 2v1 with Peach's execution of Meadow. And it's gonna be a rafters play coming out here for Madeline. She'll catch Peach off guard, and it leaves just Rex. Rex forced to go for the stick, but
there you go.
Madeline and Astra gets a 4K. My goodness, Dallas. FLVS will start 3-0 unexpectedly here on Ascent.
I said at the start of the game I was going to have my eyes on Madeline and what that Astra can do, and even then I was talking more about the utility, but hey, we'll take the gunfights too. I'm sure everybody has their eyes on them now, but I mean, all things considered, you got to see what's going to be happening going forward. I mean, obviously, Astras, when you see some of these Astra players start to be fraggers, they are very much a chaos agent, just over and over again. They are a catalyst for catastrophe if you give them the right opportunities, and already Madeline being that harbinger of death, having that cause of divide to go ahead and go up and around like this, and you don't even need to use it, considering that in a 3-0 start. Now, this is where the PTSD starts to kick in a little bit. Knowing that Eco is going to start going underway, you're probably going to see a 4-0 start, once again, to kind of follow suit off the back of this Eco round, unless the anti-Ecos are absolutely abysmal for FL, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be. I think they're just going to hold this thing down, considering how well and how kind of surgical they've been with their pushes so far. So already employing that lockdown, see to look if they can get a little more pressure. Already watching the flank as well. They are very attentive of what's going on, and they make sure to kind of execute off the back of that.
It's a very interesting extension coming out from Mira Mesa High School. Kind of necessitated Dallas. They're in a really bad spot. They feel like it is required of them to extend from the backside, try to catch FLVS off guard. But losing that first player with no success past that now, with actual Spectre and iCup falling off the board, even the Shrouded Step failing the couple feet they were looking to work with, it just seems like Mira Mesa are trying to bring out something out of the hat, but the Magician's bag is unfortunately fallen empty. And while, yes, they bait away a lockdown from FLVS, that's truly it. The rest of the round didn't fall into their way, and FLVS will continue to tally up the credit count, and this is where you start to see, hey, we can lose 1, we can lose 2, we can lose even 3 rounds in a row maybe, and still be good enough to purchase, which means you are going to be spending nearly the rest of this half constantly worried that we are always going to be able to fight back at full potential against you.
It's every single point of this time. I mean, you have to go ahead and win yourself a Thrifty if you want to go ahead and kind of put a wrench in that plan. And that's going to be very difficult to do. I mean, typically, Thrifties aren't something that teams just say, all right, you know, we've planned for this. We've sacrificed so many rounds and just sandbagged so many opportunities just so we can have these sheriffs and see what we can made of. You're not going to see that very often. It just kind of happens on a whim, and you're thankful for whatever it occurs, but even then, you have to make sure to really hold it down, even in with a very, very scratchy start, I'd say, with Comey already going ahead and being sniffed out there towards A main. You're already seeing that, well, our opportunities of our operators are looking a little bit slimmer than what we expected. And that's going to go ahead and really carry a lot more weight as, of course, this game goes on. As you can already tell, Spectre push on the other side of the map, getting not only 1, but 2, maybe a 3rd. He's not done yet, but sorry, he's cut a little bit short by the death that inevitably finds him.
Caster's curse. He's not done. Oh, well, he's a little bit done already, but the damage has been done. That's huge for Mira Mesa High School. Peach to clean up the final 2. A buddy ace, a full house. Some casters would highlight it for the Mira Mesa side between these two players. Despite the difficulties they faced early with Comey with the operator dropped to 5 HP, they have Rex. They have a regrowth. They have their Sky to be able to bring them back up to the full fight. And that distraction, that utility usage, everything that's there on the ace side lines up perfectly for FLVS to say, okay, we can go to the B side. This should be free for us. Where actual Spectre has been lying in wait, just twiddling their fingers, Dallas, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce, and they do so darn well. 3 kills in quick succession, finally shut down through the smoke of the cloud burst, but the damage had already been done, and FLVS just didn't have the foot to stand on to get back into that fight. And now look what Comey's doing, hiding within the rendezvous, stacked up inside of courtyard. They're waiting for a single player to give them any space, and it's Madeline up first, top dog down, and it's Mira Mesa High School on the front foot.
I've never seen an aggressive of a whole when it comes around to a rendezvous in my life. I don't think, quite frankly, anybody was expecting that, but it was a good one nonetheless. I mean, already going ahead and getting out that first pick, and even then more so, MMHS needs these kind of chances to arise for them. They need these first bloods. They need to create these windows for themselves, and especially off the back of that last round, Sure, it took some aggression into spawn once more, but you had to find that confidence again after, obviously, it was lost in that first round where the game plan didn't really work out for you, but even then you have a chance to run it back, and you have chances now to go ahead and kind of capitalize off that with the economy kind of working out for you. Sure, it was a full buy round, but even then you didn't really lose anything at all, so you're not really concerned about that. You just lost to one jet that was running all the way in. So all things considered, you have a full arsenal here to hold on to things, and even more so, you have a man advantage off the back of it.
Quick use here, the 0 point, the only PC utility that's typically different between FLVS when it comes to their attack. Something that Mirror Mesa will be lacking when it transitions to the opposing side. Active information gathering. On top of that, they have a Sova, so they do still have something in the back pocket, doubts. Not to say Mirror Mesa are entirely lacking on information gathering potential. It's just going to be very hard pressed to do so in a very undeniable sort of fashion. Rex with the guiding line out of the side. Does get a bit of assistance when the Owl Drone sent out. Spots one, goes for a second. It's Meadow stepping into the dark cover. And what a spray down for Mirror Mesa. Flawless result for this round, though, climbed to 2. Just half the scoreline of FLVS, but you can discount the first 2. Since then, they've been pretty much silenced after the round 3 upset and round 4 expected result.
Yeah, I mean, it really came down to the kind of hit onto that site. You didn't really see too much of an actual idea coming out the back of that execution. I mean, already FLVS, they had themselves an outstanding start so far to the half, found themselves forward, but even then off the head of that backside, you saw that even then, MMHS, they had an idea of what was going on there. They had a lot of players starting to rotate over towards the A side of the map. They knew exactly where the strengths were coming through for, I mean, FLVS so far, but I mean, considering that even then, you kind of have to have these reads. You have to have these expectations in line now. And already you're seeing the adjustments being made quicker on the defense than what we see on the attacking side, oddly enough. When the attacking side is the one to be setting that pace. So already now we see the adjustments. Stay slow and steady. If we're going to do this, let's have some utility out the back of it. Let's have an execution. We have a null command. We have a cause the divide. Let's use one or the other at one time or the other. Different stages of the game. Make sure to actually capitalize off the top of that, but actual Spectre should be the one waiting in sight for it.
As the divide was queued up for a while, they were making sure the whole team was ready to push, and they had used enough util to really snuff out potential of the players in the back of sight. Sky and Omen for the side of Mirror Mesa High School extend deep into sight. It's iCup and Rex stepping down stairwell. An absolute dismantling of the attempt here from the FLVS Fury. Fury side just didn't have an answer for it. Pepteki says, hey, I know we're probably still fine to buy up the next round, but any sort of credits that I can save are worth saving in the end. And these final 40 seconds of this round are just going to be used for me to escape as far as I possibly can and hold on to the rifle. Essentially a tactical timeout in a way, Dallas. You have one every half. Might as well use it. Get the ult orb for free, why not? There's still many things that can go down, and if they try to extend towards you, take another player off the board. But what a defense from Mirror Mesa High School. Conley divide cut off to the back of stairs. It was a little bit too close of a call there, Dallas. I think the wall was placed a bit too close to market, which meant that the actual extension from defender spawn into stairwell was too easily accessed. Rex just walked straight through it. Yeah, Strata Step was used by iCup, but they did that for free because FLVS did have a sight line to cut that off because of the angle of the wall, and when they extended on a sight, all of a sudden there were 4 players instead of 2, and it caught them off guard, and inevitably every player just dies.
I mean, just keep in mind, I mean, you could have looked at those X's. Everything occurred right there on that main walk, right there onto the B side. You knew that they were funneling themselves off the back of that wall. You saw it was towards the back of sight, but even more so, as you mentioned, that cutoff was a little bit towards halfway through, and you don't really have too many options to flex yourself out. You want to have that element of surprise. You want to say, are they going stairs? Are they going just main side? But it's holding around towards markets. And if they're trying to hold these corners maybe towards side as we kind of go in and set up these checkpoints, these road bumps. But even then, none of that was really facilitated there. So, I mean, a little bit of an attempt, and I like the idea out the back of it, but maybe just a little tiny adjustment to be made. I mean, obviously, Madeline, not really the biggest hurt on the resume there, considering that, I mean, what you saw earlier on has definitely carried their own weight past this point so far, but even then more so, you got a long way to go because there's a lot more left that you really need to play off of here. So knowing that Chamber's there, that's obviously a read. You know the operator's going to be on the back of that, so you can't really just absolutely force your way through because, well, it's going to be a hit. It's going to be a little bit of a flick of the wrist to get right back to the other side of that wall. So what do you do in a circumstance like this? Well, you have to once again look for the default, look for the pressure anywhere else in the map, and you see it there to the middle as Slicks, it's there taking the hits on towards the A side as you see the rotation going right to the middle over towards B coming out of market. I love this adjustment. I love how quickly it's happened, but we need to see this side being touched.
feel like Mira Mesa High School's operator was known. You know that the chamber is going to be rocky. You know Comey's going to have that operator. Yeah. They've had it before. And if you get the 0 point on, there's no rendezvous available. Why not extend onto the play? Maybe you go 1 for 1, but you drop the op shot available for Mira Mesa. And worst case scenario, at the end of the round, should you lose, which is already an eco for you, you've dropped away in a very expensive weapon that you can toss back towards spawn and really just burn as much the eco away from Mira Mesa as you can. And maybe that would have been the better play. They end this round flawless in favor for Mira Mesa High School, who now tie things up 4-4. It just wasn't the result that the Fury side were hoping for. Maybe a slight change up, but we're a little bit omnipotent when it comes to the booth here, Dallas. We can see everything all at once. We can see the whole picture, and Fury side just doesn't have that same luxury. They'll have to reevaluate their decision, but finally in this round, they'll have all rifles to work with. They'll have a 0 points. They'll have the no command ult from Meadow on top of the 0 point for the initial information, and then pop the ult afterwards. They have the Hunter's Fury, and in just a single ult pit, which I think Pepteki is really starting to go for here as they start to pressure in towards A lobby. They'll have that lockdown to work with on side as well.
And there's a lingering dread every single time you know you're pushing up to a site. You already know the operator's called out towards the A site, so you're going to see probably either A, a full push come through, or maybe a little bit of the default anywhere else on the map. And instead, we're seeing neither one of those. There's a little bit of a hole coming out here from the side of FLVS. Looking to see if they can kind of extend, maybe a chamber somewhere else around the map, maybe kind of lingering around in that smoke. You're not going to see anything with that operator. You're not going to overextend there. You're not going to try to lose that gun. You're going to back up more so right up there towards heaven and say, if they want to enter onto site, they're going to have to go through me again. Sadly, I missed that first shot, but I couldn't care less. I have another opportunity waiting for me at least somewhere down the line, and even then, it may be in the middle of the map. But you never know here because, oddly enough, still, these defaults are so slow and steady. And quite frankly, Mira Mesa, they're the ones with the operator. They're the ones who are winning these rounds on almost like flawless degree. Just back to back, they're getting a lot more consistent. They're going to be hanging back in sight. That's the formula that's worked for them, so they're sticking to it. And finally, FLVS is starting to read into that and understand what they need to do to make the adjustments. But it's just still, once again, overextended that line in the sand. They just got a little bit too comfortable on it.
Yeah, Onyx was in a really good spot. Maybe should have just sat over behind the Radiant Knight crate and just not gone for an initial swing into the back of Boathouse. Maybe would have been a better idea. Wait for the team to swing for no command to take control of the objective and then go from there. But they found nothing here. A net negative result. Peach hiding within the dark cover does take down Slicks. Refrag by Meadow, but Spectre and iCup 2 apiece. It's about all you can ask for, as it is just one man remaining now. Meadow on site, and their life forfeited just as quickly from the omen of iCup on Mira Mesa's side. 5-4, continuing to climb. Mira Mesa finally denied a flawless round result by the end of it. And ever since that big Madeline 4 came, it just feels like FLVS just hasn't had as positive of a performance. Easy for me to say, apparently. Maybe not so much. They've just been struggling against Mira Mesa's side. Maybe it's the proper rifles in their hands. Maybe it's the change up of pace for them. Maybe it's the positioning that's kind of turned against them. The Fury side have all of the utility at which they can use to deny Comey's initial peaks and angles. They have all the information gathering utility to take down the players in the back of Boathouse, but it just feels like they're lacking the implementation of that util to get the job done, Dallas.
And as those players in Boathouse is really giving them a hard time, keep in mind. I mean, Comey is only 3 and 4 on the board. So, I mean, hasn't really been fragging at all. It's just the fact that the operator's in the game. You're like, it's eventually going to start hitting shots, right? He's eventually going to wake up. That's the concern that you're really having in the back of your head. And already a Hunter's Fury to go ahead and be employed as a counteraction, not only to the lockdown, but also towards each other. But off the back of it, you're trying to push on the site, and it's just not going to work. An owl drone could be great for your team, but not whenever everybody's already died in the meantime, and know that you don't really have a smoke to give yourself that coverage to really go ahead and get that cross off. So considering the spike is somewhere else, you're holding that thing hostage, and everybody's just able to completely push you. And it's a near flawless round once more there for Mira Mesa, and you are seeing them just lock this game down to a T, hitting not only that threshold of getting themselves 6 for a guaranteed and a half, but honestly, knowing that this next round's going to be an eco here for FLVS, it makes problems that much worse. I think, quite frankly, knowing the kind of inch of volume they're given here on this map, anytime they get any kind of territory, they're just way too overreactionary of what's going on there, and they're a little bit too scared of the fact of like, okay, something's lingering on the corner. They need to be prepared more for every single angle and utilize this utility that actually just regenerates itself to get every inch of information before you can come up with an idea.
This game honestly could have gone 3-1 and then still had Mira Mesa High School going a very dominant spree like we've been seeing since the first 4-round loss from FLVS. It was the upset in round 3 that even gave the Fury side the chance to go up and above Mira Mesa at the beginning. You take round 3 in a shocker, you're going to take round 4. And since then, it's just been confidence overload for Mira Mesa High School. Just Pepteki left all by their lonesome. All the way extended over inside of Puppy. Their only teammate all the way back inside of A lobby was forced to play top mid. It had to fall back. When your extension gets split in two, it becomes very difficult to reclaim that space, and that's why you see a lot of initiators tend to be the players that want to go forward in no man's land before extending into that space, because they can guiding light their way out of it. They can get a little bit of information. Sky's really good about that. But when you're facing off against Sky as a Jet, there's nothing you can really do. Pep Techie with a single operator shot that was stolen by Comey previously gets one, but they're done. The three remaining players from MMHS High School will likely collect that operator, which was in the hands of that Sky. Give it on right back to your chamber. Maybe they don't. It's hard to tell. Either way, I'm sure they're plenty happy. It's the last round before the half. There's no need to worry about eco.
Yeah, already. I mean, even you can see the warm-up coming through there from Comey as well. And I even opted to buy that operator instead. Actually, actual spheres.
They saved it.
I was kind of expecting them just going to hold on these rifles, you know? I mean, you're sitting in a 7.4. I mean, you can go into an 8.4. Even in worst case scenario, you're starting to warm up these rifles, because keep in mind that operator is not going to have nearly as much leniency when it comes around to that attacking side. But all things considered and all things behind us, even then, you're on the attacking side already. And Mirror Mesa has already kind of tried to employ that strategy thus far. And you can see it once again, pushing into spawn. Why not? Can I hit a shot? Unfortunately not. Spectre, you should have left it to Comey. Even then, didn't have every single shot under the sun, but even then, was able to at least live at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter, though, as that's the first blood gone away. You have another tour de force somewhere else. You have an operator, another opportunity. But it's not going to be on that B site because, well, keep in mind that's almost completely empty. And actual Spectre was the one holding down that site 9 times out of 10. An absolute just catalyst for destruction over there once any push came through. Being that main player to get 3Ks every single time, it felt like.
See the intent from Mirror Mesa High School to hand over the operator to the Jet. He had a tour de force. Why not? But the change up in style was a little bit too much for Spectre to come back from. And now they're looking in a downward spiral as another player's been knocked off the board. Looking like it may just be a 7-5 split. Fury looking like they may just take this round, but a miss there from Pep Techie will award iCup a nice pickup kill. But 2 more go off on the refrag, and Comey's dusting against Onyx. It's just Rex all by their lonesome. Trapped over towards defender spawn. Spike has gone down. Suppression being used quite well for Meadow to keep Rex even further at bay. No guiding light to give yourself some space. No Tasmanian Tiger for information. You don't even have it ready. Because it's just 10 HP. Regrowth doesn't work on yourself, and Onyx to quickly close out for that final kill. 7-5 will be the split we end with at halftime. All things considered, Mirror Mesa High School with a huge 7-round spree look prepped to move into the attack nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for them. I mean, obviously, momentum doesn't carry over flawlessly into the next half, but even then, knowing what you're capable of is outstanding. Knowing that, I mean, you had to rebound after a 4-0 start. I mean, that goes ahead and demolishes a lot of teams' mental, but knowing that even then it's just kind of a little bit of a hiccup just off the back of that third, you couldn't really care too much less. And it's absolutely huge here for Mirror Mesa, knowing that they can keep on rolling along. You see them looking to go ahead and kind of set things up for a round like this, where they said, honestly, the attacking side ideology that we had on the defense, it worked out for us, oddly enough. Sure, it took us a couple of rounds. We actually had to hold on to sight, and everything you saw them sitting in that back boathouse just completely contrasts what we saw that initial round win come out of, and then pushing right through that B main. So they can obviously flex the game however they want to. They can set any kind of pace and play around any kind of tempo. It comes down to whether they can actually find the kills off the back of it. Sadly, this time they've already lost the first.
They get a trade back. It's not the worst case scenario right now for Mirror Mesa High School. Keep in mind, Comey is still watching the flank, so it's effectively 3 players left extending onto site. They have a great flank watch to deal with Onyx, who's extending from market. Does give them the man advantage. Comey will go ahead and try to play into bottom mid, work in from market. I would expect that space to be reclaimed for the Jet here from Fury. They are sitting up towards Plat. Comey will go the long way back around town. In a pistol round, it's kind of expected. Try to play into the angle that they would be sitting in initially. The headhunter, I'm honestly amazed, gets whipped out in time for Meadow, but it's iClub on site to take down Slicks. 3 kills in the round alone. Peach to test the crouch as well as to deal with Madeline, and the round will inevitably fall to the Mirror Mesa High School side as they'll climb to 8-5, and it should spiral them into a 9-5 split as well if they take the expected result here for round 2.
I mean, considering that you're on the defensive side of the map, you don't want to go ahead and have that opportunity, or you don't even have the chance for an opportunity to put down that spike for the extra 300 credits. You can't really force up too much of a buy on the defense, and that's the, well, sad reality of the situation. So considering that, I mean, going forward already, you are seeing these purchases. You didn't see too many sheriffs being carried over. Any really bought off that first round. You're not really concerned about the consequences of your actions here. The only one that could really go ahead and shut you down is going to be actual Spectre going ahead and having a teammate buy that Vandal off the back of the full armor. I like the idea. I like the aggression, kind of setting up a singular player as a little bit of a raid boss here, but they got to make sure to actually go ahead and really live up to that name.
Shots we sent out. It's Comey to find themselves first blood, dealing with the Astra for the side of Fury. Actual Spectre will fall back with the rest of the team in through Link, and it looks like B site will still be the expected play in from them. Though with the spike still lagging a little bit behind, looks like maybe they were second guessing that one. I think Comey just hadn't stepped into the right space. They were just waiting for Comey to rewatch the flank for the time being. But with this slow patient style we're seeing from Mira Mesa High School on this attack and not making a lot of noise in their step into the B site, a lot of Fury's side was transitioning in through defender spot of the A site, which leaves just one man defending the site all by their lonesome, and it's Meadow, who will die all by their lonesome just the same. A very lonely style of defense. With just 3 players now left to retake the objective, the game's been flipped on its head. The attack must now defend. The defense must now assault their own objective. Thankfully, not much utility was there. It's not a huge waste, and unfortunately, Comey still on a rampage. 3 kills in the round, hunting for a 4th. 1 shot left in the headhunter. Can't flick the Pepteki, goes a bit too far, but the damage has been done to Onyx. 1 HP and a dream. Pepteki by their lonesome as Rex rips through the first and looks prepped to get the second, and that will be the case. Pepteki falls, and Mira Mesa High School go to 9-5.
Just making more and more sense as time goes on. I mean, Mira Mesa obviously carrying over this momentum on the attacking side, considering they were setting that exact pace for their squad. Maybe it didn't work out well for them initially, but I mean, they have found themselves an absolute bow and arrow effect. I mean, all that tension being drawn back, they are flying forward with flying colors, better yet. And knowing that even then, I mean, the way they're doing it is not flawless by no means necessary, but even then it's flexible. I mean, you see them not only just kind of pushing right through main, but I mean, you see them looking to push through the middle of the map. You see them kind of putting that pressure everywhere to keep FLVS a little bit spread thin. And that's the biggest kind of precedent you want to set early on. Say, look, they know we're going to default anywhere. They know we can attack them from anywhere. So let's go ahead and make them put themselves everywhere. And that's just literally not possible. So already finding some good effects out of it, and knowing that, I mean, just the middle pressure has been established, and it's going to be transitioned over towards that A site where they've already found themselves once again another first blood.
Shots connecting from actual Spectre. What else do you expect? They're hunting for the second. Meadow didn't see or hear. Headset maybe on backwards. Flip that one around. Madeline up in rafters escapes with 1 kill, but their life will not be allowed to escape, as it will be cut down immediately after the fact, punished for the indiscretion. Just 2 now remaining for the Fury side. FLVS have been struggling, and it looks like it's going to be a 3-0 start replicated for Mira Mesa High School. And these players are opting to save, it seems, Dallas. I think this is a very smart decision. If I'm Mira Mesa High School, I'm extending. You're brought in with basically SMGs. Wait a couple more seconds, step out into the space. You can lose those. You want to buy a rifle anyways the next round to make sure you got everything going for you. Just a matter of how good is this crossfire, and it's not good enough. Slight space was given. It's Spectre to find their 3rd dust fall, but Peach secures it for the final pickup on a Pepteki, and the Fury side is going to be scrambling to find any success, because this one's almost but doomed to go 11-5 in favor of Mira Mesa High School to repeat the 4-0 start that Fury just did last half.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's not about who reaches 10 first. It's about who reaches 11. Honestly, Mira Mesa's kind of set up for this so far. I mean, you go ahead and look at the buys coming out from the side of FLVS. I mean, it's not too much. You see the Judge, the Buckies, the shotguns can be absolutely just devastating in the right hands. The problem is we haven't seen these players opting for more rounds and circumstances earlier on. So they're probably not the favorite weapon in the belt to really go ahead and opt for out of these players specifically. So knowing that, you got to have yourself an opportunity. You got to have a clutch of a lifetime. You have to have these hero plays really step up right here, right now, knowing that even in Mira Mesa, I mean, that's not going to give you a chance. It's not going to give you a win. We're not going to find a 5 spree or an ace off the back of a Judge, but we could find a couple guns possibly, and that's going to be your best hope here.
Back up as fast as they can. Mira Mesa High School will just move into the B site. They know that Fury are going to try to play really close to the chest, realizing the limited weapons they're going to have, and it's just going to be a matter of time. If you can play it in at range engagement, go for it, and that's what actual Spectre is working with. 1 player slicks on Puppy. They'll be dealt with bottom mid, dealing with the KO as well, and all the players remaining for FLVS will be forced to trickle in towards site, where Comey Bomi and iCup, and including Rex as well, everyone wants to get into the action, can cut them down quite swiftly for a flawless round result as anticipated. So the floss is still quite nice for Mira Mesa High School to climb to 11. My goodness, talk about double digits being chokehold or checkpoint, Dallas. It does not seem like they're going to be slowed down anytime soon.
And I quite frankly don't think so either. I mean, considering that not only that, off the back of this round, knowing that even in the next one, if this doesn't work out for you, you're going right back to an eco when you see that Mira Mesa is going to be on match point. I mean, it's things very, very difficult for the likes of FLVS to really step things up here. So this is your last chance, quite frankly. I mean, the second one, I mean, this next round, if this doesn't work out for you, it's going to be out the back of a miracle. And even then, knowing that the buy is going to be all over the place with the flip-flop, it's going to be behind it. It's going to be a little bit understandable. And even then with Comey, once again, opening things up, having the operator on the attacking side, it's something I'm never been really a big fan of. But honestly, it's a nice little curveball considering it's on the opposite side of the map and it's a free A site for the taking.
My goodness, and look at the retake that's gonna have to come out here from the FLVS side. 3 players inside tree, working a step forward. No one's taking rafter control. Breaking glass would put you in a 1-on-1, even a 2-on-1 over towards rafter side against Actual Spectre, who's been an insanely strong force for the Mirror Mesa High School side. You do not want to engage that way. Rex will be the first one to go forward. They spot at least 2 players in tree as well, which means the flank from Comey is about to be fruitful. Time to gather your harvest. 1, not yet done. It's 2, but stolen by Actual Spectre. Who else? It's match point, series point for Mirror Mesa's Esports Club, their Lavender side, trying to showcase to everybody. Yeah, there's a reason why we're second seed here, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's outstanding what they're doing so far. Even then, I mean, considering what we saw to that kind of entire Trojan horse play, it wasn't a full commitment, but even then, Comey getting that first initial pick, you go ahead immediately off the get-go. You're cutting that player off towards catwalk, and keep in mind, that's usually your second line of defense, or even then better yet, your first line of defense of your actual encounters, going up to door and pushing onto A side. You cut down half the pressure on that side of the map off that one pick alone, and the overextension costs you your life, or better yet, the entire round, maybe the entire game for FLVS. But this Bucky can show absolute wonders if you're able to pick up a gun off the back of it. But no, honestly, the intimidation could be enough.
The big wins from FSVO started with Madeline. It looks like it may continue with Madeline as well. Bucky within a smoke, somehow stealing away 2 lives from Mirror Mesa High School, will draw back their forces ever so slightly. They'll collect the rifles that were out in no man's land inside B main, and they'll say, hey, we're gonna get these out of dodge, make sure nobody can collect these for FLVS, because we know they're thrifting. A Bucky was on board, as if they're bringing proper rifles elsewhere. I think the same thing will be said here for Slicks. I think they have a Bucky as well inside of Cubby, aka Puppy. A little bit of assistance, no Guardian. This is an interesting gun to hold here. Your Astra as well. Madeline is rotated away from that B side, is holding a lot closer at Slicks with the final blow. Distracted by Madeline. Comey couldn't flick in time. And Mirror Mesa High School may just be gate kept from the ultimate victory here for another round longer. It's just 2 players remaining. Rex good for 1. Can't get a second. That was Madeline completes for the trifecta.
Yeah, big stands here. Massive already with those 2 opening picks there for Madeline. Just capitalizing off the top of that. A lot of guns we picked up in the meantime, but an actual breath of fresh air here for the side of FLVS to say, okay, look, we're not out of this just yet. Sure, it's a very big deficit that we're going to have to climb in the meantime. Worst case scenario, or best case scenario, better yet for us, we're able to bring this into OT. But, I mean, that's all you really get. You're still going to have to replicate that, knowing that, I mean, Out of Mesa, they've gone absolutely insane on both sides of the field now. I mean, that 7 rounds free going underway, starting things off not 4-0 like you did on your start of the game, but better yet 5-0. It's not the element of surprise at that point. They just actually have the read on you. They know they're winning out these gunfights. They know their confidence has been established. It's concrete now. You have to find a way to capitalize off that. And they've done exactly that so far. Just once again, pushing over and over and over at the back of that. No real concern for what's in front of them.
Shots connecting. Meadows at least good for 1 onto Actual Spectre. Peach off screen, rips through Madeline though, and that was your best chances for the FLVS side to continue to feed the beast, so to say. Gotta pad those stats a little bit further. Operator shot from Pep Tech. He wasn't far off from the mark, but Peach gets removed by Meadow elsewhere. Slicks and Onyx pongering in for 2 more. And it's Onyx even finding a second to close. Mirror Mesa High School are struggling the last 2 rounds, but they've got enough of a lead, Dallas, where there have been plenty fine to buy up. You go 5 rounds off the rip, 5-0 in the second half, you're gonna have credits to spare. But this may be one of their last rounds to full buy for quite a while if FLVS do manage to continue to find a success here.
I mean, they genuinely could not care less. I mean, this isn't too much of a problem for them. You got so much kind of bullet fodder between you and the other side that you're not really worried about too much. You can find one good round here in the next 5. And honestly, I mean, in points like this, you can tell a lot of teams that they honestly just throw the round, sandbag it, just go ahead and save up that money. Let your loss bonuses start to accumulate because you only need 1 out of 5, keep in mind. And it takes 3 of those to just say, all right, over and over and over again. If you lose those next 2, then yeah, either it's a thrifty win and it feels even better, or you find yourself as just an outright win with the guns and you know that, okay, obviously we were expected to win at a point like that. But already an A-side default coming all the way through, not really working out too much because keep in mind the defenders are finally waking up here, hitting their shots, and FLVS with a 1-man lead.
Slick's going to go and sit up as far back up in the rafters as they can. Mirror Mesa High School, though, losing on Impeach in the flank may put them in a pretty dire position. Madeline off screen, working in from the side of tree, has now control over here towards space, but Rex will deny it. Pepteki does the damage to iCup as Meta will re-swing after the fact after the loss of Madeline to close and secure that final pickup. This buffer they had, Dallas, a huge buffer as well, might I add, is slowly trickling away. Yeah, the credits are okay. It's not the best case scenario still here for the side of Mira Mesa High School. They have enough to really not worry about it. They can throw numbers at the opposing side. But when it starts to get double digits for the FLVS side, it starts to get to 9, 10, 11. That's when they're going to start questioning, hey guys, what's going on? Why can we not find an attacking win in the late stages here this half?
Especially after you already started off so strong with 5 in a row. I mean, it's one of those points where you're saying, I mean, it wasn't just kind of every here and there, back and forth, back and forth. It was an absolute just dominance starting things off. And I mean, sure, 2 of those were off the back of a pistol, so you're not really too concerned about that. But even then, you have to find these first bloods. And finally, we've seen one finally change the pace here for the side of MMHS. So, I mean, considering that you get the secrets off the back of that, you can get a little bit of information. You hear the shots back towards spawn. A second kill, I think, honestly, that could seal the deal here. Oh my god.
Spectre, 2 and 3, hunting for a 4th. Meta with a great swing out, but the spike's gone down. No command forced to be popped. No other ultimate on board. If the lockdown was here, Dallas, this could be insanely recoverable for FLVS. But with all players working in from the same exact angle in the flank here from your Omen, iCup sprays down both! And MMHS will have no problem